to mute everyone. Devadasan sir. This is a wonderful program of vocational diversity speaker series that we have begun since 5th of August. And last week, we also coined a logo thanks to one of our do-gamer, Bhavin Shah, who helped us design this logo, and our own Rotarian Ram, who made this beautiful small video that you all just saw. So today we have a wonderful speaker by the name Bosky, who's with us. Thanks to Rajaram for getting him. He's going to talk on the way digital marketing has been creating higher, superior customer engagement and ROI in this today's digital world, where it's of prime importance. A special welcome to our digital guru, as we call him, IPDG Dr. Samir Haryani, for being with us today. And special welcome to all the 8 guest clubs who have partnered with us and whose members, the members from these guest clubs are here. There are also some clubs who are joining us from Delhi, District 3011. There are some members joining from Chennai, District 3232. And there are some people who are Rotarians who are joining from Indonesia in today's call. So welcome to everyone. And a special welcome to all the friends of Rotary who are joining this particular special vocational speaker series. So without taking much of your extra time, I would hand over this proceedings to our vocational director, Rotarian Rajaram. Thank you. You are on mute, Rajaram.
Yeah, I cannot mute.
Oh, sorry. Good evening to all. I am privileged to introduce Mr. Bosky Subramanian, my friend, and he is always to the go-to guy for all the strategy-related discussion among our friend. Mr. Bosky Subramanian is a seasoned digital transformation strategy consultant, over 20 plus years experience in strategy, transformation, and driving sales. Work with prestigious firms like BCG, KPMG, PwC, and SAP Labs across different locations. That is like in Singapore, Southeast Asia, India, US, Europe, Africa, and as well as Middle East. He is also an investor and co-founder of IVA Media. It's a data-driven O2O, that is online to offline link, customer engagement and marketing platform. In his career, he assisted several organizations in digital strategy and transformation, from conceptualizing new business model to transforming it to a new digital business. He led BCG FinTech Control Tower that monitors latest trends and expertise in FinTech market and digital experiences, that is providing the tech giant a deep insight on the entire ecosystem. He assisted several regional banks in digital strategy and omni-channel transformation and customer-centric projects in Asia, Europe, and US. He has helped many banks, healthcare, e-commerce business in monetizing the data, and also he involved in projects relating to digitizing the performance of management system of very large banks to a very small retail banks, all the way like a very small to big banks he managed. He was part of large e-governance strategy team for federal government in Africa, Middle East, and also he involved in few digital initiatives in India. Apart from this, he is a frequent speaker in FinTech forums, CIO events on the technology impacting business. He writes in prestigious publications such as IDC, and he is also a speaker and visiting faculty of Singapore University. Mr. Bosky Subramanian is a multi-talented person, digital transformation trainer, invitee for many panel discussions, keynote speaker and guest lecture, and part of many thought leadership program. We are honored to have him as a speaker today on the digital marketing topic. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very happy to present you Mr. Bosky Subramaniam, the Chief Digital Evangelist, Aiva Media. Over to you, Mr. Bosky.
Hey, thanks a lot. That was a generous introduction. Puts me on the spot actually. Let me first share a screen before I start. Are you able to see the screen first?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. So today the topic is quite loaded topic. It could run into a 12-week series in itself because it has both breadth and a depth, because nowadays transformation is quite synonymous with digital, and digital marketing occupies an important space because it touches many areas within the organizations, and broadly a lot of things are clubbed under digital marketing. So in this presentation, I would like to, since I'm not very familiar with all of you in terms of your background profile, I try to maintain it in a non-technical fashion. Will not go very deep technically. At the same time, we'll try to understand some of the leading concepts in this area, how this is trying to shape up, and I will try and share some local case study within Indian context, and we can make it also interactive at the end. A little about Aiva. We are a 5-year-old startup, and we focus exclusive on this revenue side of helping companies in marketing. We have, to our share, won quite a few accolades. The notable one is we won the best startup in Asia last year from Bangkok Bank's innovation program by solving a very unique problem. And we strive to do a lot. Our primary markets are India, Southeast Asia, Middle East, and now we recently forayed into Europe as well as US. In India, Chennai is a very strong foothold for us. Almost you name any high street brands in Chennai, they must be our clients. So we really love working with the retail and B2C sector. So that really entices us and keeps us going. Before we get into dive directly into the topic, I want to give some prelude into the thinking that is actually driving into the topic. One of the favorite arguments has been there for almost a decade now is around the disruption. Okay, a lot of people have a lot of view on this, but there is a context in which why we use this concept here. If you look at how Apple disrupted Nokia, or Uber disrupted taxis, or Amazon the bookstores, or Google the entire ad industries was organized, there are a few common things across all these, even though there are different industry, different time periods, and different factors that led to it. The common thing was accessibility. First, everything that they brought more accessibility for the same thing. Something called a very premium computer laptop that used to be 50K, 60K, was replaced by iPhone. Okay. Similarly, Uber, Amazon, everything made accessible to common people. Second, it was trying to do at non-consumption. When Apple tried, it didn't try to compete with Nokia. It didn't try to compete with Motorola. It actually tried to replace the utility of a computer in a mobile form. And all the digital subsequent disruption, or even the innovations that have happened only post iPhone. So you could see that it targets a kind of a non-consumption area that can scale up. It uproots competition. Kodak movement, they call it, for this phenomena. The same way it was a Nokia movement, Motorola movement, and changes at scale. For example, when iPhone was introduced, I distinctly remember there used to be a survey that Nokia and other phones did, and they were trying to list in the survey what is the most used or preferred features in a mobile phone. And they used to have things like MMS and smooth texting and things like that. By the time when Apple actually launched, it completely disrupted an entire industry. So what is the lesson when you have to change at that scale and look at the scenario today, BC, which we call now before COVID and after COVID kind of a period? We are almost in the similar moment. If you look at the movie Matrix, he offers Neo two choices. He says, look, you can take the blue pill, try remain here, you can be in blissful ignorance, or come with me taking the red pill, I'll show you the rabbit hole, how far it goes. So that's an unpleasant truth, but that's the reality. So this COVID has actually accelerated this reality is the thing. It's not that people were not aware that innovation is happening, disruption is happening. Technology rate change was quite high, but I think the kind of acceleration given by COVID is quite phenomenal. And how does it impact? It impacts greatly. How? It impacts greatly to the extent that there is a strategic shift that is required to actually change the business model. So today, it's no longer a question of I'm incrementally, I'm doing an incremental improvement on my website, or I'm doing an incremental improvement by employing a better tech staff. No, I don't think that'll get you anywhere. It's going to be a much fundamental change on the business model itself. But what is this that is driving essentially? What are the key drivers? One is the consumer, second is the technology. Let me take the technology. Everyone talks about the technology change, rate of change, as well as the pace and the kind of change that is happening in every field. Almost look at medical field, the way in which diagnostics are changing, it's literally very fast. Even during the COVID, the way in the speed at which the medicines as well as the testing has been done, an enormous amount of data has been churned. On the background, many companies have actually shortened their timelines from months to weeks to almost days of testing, is sheerly because of the possibility that technology gives. But there is a tap to it. There are a lot of possibility in technology. There are technology which is used by Elon Musk and his rocket can technically be used in public transport also. But there is another factor that is important, is called, it has to marry to relevance. Okay, I have the technology, it can do wonders, but is it relevant in my society? Is it relevant to solve my problem? Is it relevant to take me from point A to point B? That's the more harder question to understand, because it's always on the edges. The second dimension that need to balance, and the most important I see, especially on the COVID factor, post-pandemic, etc., is the consumer. When you say consumer, there are two other factors again. What is the context in which a consumer is buying? This is actually going to drive whatever sales that is important. Why? Because is this something new? Is this something different? Yes, possibly different, because there is a lot of exchange of information. So consumer context is becoming even more increasing. Even before all these digital revolution, what you may say, before social media, before other things that we access today, there was this context that was driving, but it was not very hard. It was not supported by data. It was quite instinctive that some brands got it right and some brands got it right sometimes. Even the mega brands like Coke have failed miserably in marketing. A company which is known for marketing has also had biggest failures in marketing. So this context is becoming extremely important. And second one is choice. And this choice is the factor in which all this technology is playing an important role. So when context and choice go into together, the consumer behavior shifts. Okay, and we can measure those shifts in some of these micro trends. Okay, now this is the macro. The previously I showed a macro trend, how disruption happens, what are some commonalities, and what actually is driving these macro trends, and how it gets translated in a way that we understand, right? So if we look at some of these things, very interesting. Recently, I saw a survey. It was in July, conducted by Facebook and Bain Consulting. So they had actually predicted, every year they do this on the digital consumer for Asia. Every year do this. What they predicted for number of users in 2025 has been reached already in 2020, which means the e-commerce growth, they had a 5-year growth in this year itself. So that's quite a phenomenal exponential growth. There are more categories. I think there are almost 5x categories that are increased in terms of online purchases. And there is also a buyer behavior changes, right? So now people are conservative. They are thinking about health. They are thinking about a lot of people don't have food. Why should we splurge, etc. So that behavior change is also there. Need, choice and emotions. So emotions is playing a note. Need and choice, I'll come back to it because our presentation will go a lot deep into that. Why I take emotions is because what has brought in the recent times due to two-way communication is a lot of emotion is being expressed by the consumer. And this has a due impact on the marketing, messaging, your product, pricing, probably even sourcing. The recent case in point was when China had an attack on in India. There was a complete backlash on Chinese product. Similarly, a lot of such emotions are tied with local issues, linguistic issues, actual as religious issues, etc., which are playing a huge impact. Brands are actually quite perturbed and quite in standstill sometimes as to what message is the right message. So it makes it almost gets to a point where it's compelling to keep listening to customers on real time. So that is the kind of impact that emotion backed by some activism is also happening, and these also play a major role in actually pulling down all the products, etc., from say Amazon's, etc. And few important things we observe is every customer is a multi-channel offer. Now comes a lot of this traditional business, right? So they think digital means completely online. To a greater extent, all these are pointing towards that. But offline is not going to die. It's as I said, BC, before COVID and after COVID, there's going to be a transition time that has triggered. But a customer is always a multi-channel hopper. He's going to hop between channels for different needs. And the consumption, if you look at the top 5 consumption in the same order, social media, messaging, video, gaming, e-commerce are the top 5 activities on digital. Marketing is the new sales. We will see why it is called that. This is the core focus of our presentation. And in terms of loyalty in online, especially online, loyalty is going to get higher margins. And people are susceptible and they spend more if they become a loyal customer. These are some ground rules. You could argue that, I know this. These are fundamentals of business. What are you saying? Something new. These are fundamentals of business, but how do you reinforce in the new business model is where the challenge is. So, hence, when you talk about customer centricity, I think Mr. Ram touched upon that just before the meeting. Every organization, in every annual report, at least I can speak for banks, everybody would say, I want to become customer centric. There's no annual report without that word, either customer centric or NPS and things like that. But if you really break down what that customer centricity means, a lot of organizations are very far from even achieving that. That is because one of the binary things to become customer centric is wherever customers are, you need to be there. So that is something called being pervasive enough wherever customer has you meet. Second, whatever customer touches your business, wherever his touch points are, you need to know that. That's the second important thing of being customer centric. Second, their internal process, data, and everything has to be reflected. So customer is not just the outside thing, it's also the outside in. What are you doing inside to reflect that outside promise that you make in terms of either a customer obsession or a centricity and things like that. But all these things appear so easy when I put it in words. Oh, these are the 3 factors that you become customer centric, but it's easier said than done. Why? I'll give you an example. If you take newspaper, television, billboards, and to a greater extent, even many of these digital campaigns, etc. Over the period of 50, 60, 70 years, marketing teams are not even able to measure the kind of attribution to the customer. You always try to make a proxy out of it. I'll give you an example. We work with one of the clients in Thailand, and they are the largest billboard owners in Thailand. So if you ask them, hey, how do you measure the number of people who have seen your billboard? Because people are investing quite, if you look at an aggregate value, it's about 70 million they are getting in terms of revenue in billboards. How do you measure? He says, I call a guy from AC Nielsen He sits under the billboard. He looks at the cars that are incoming and outgoing in a day. He physically counts them and extrapolates it for 30 days. So even now, from US to Thailand, this is the method that's being used. Same with television. So you would think that that TRP rating, CPR, etc., but it's not very scientific. It's pretty much a proxy. Again, it gauges to a great extent, but now given the way in which people are hopping within the video medium itself, it's become quite irrelevant. Same with newspapers. Circulations are not the reflection of your brand reach. Same with digital. Digital has the capacity to track. So the beauty of digital, why it became more, or why Google and Facebook are kind of kings in this, is because they have a mechanism to track. Even there are limitations. So same with radio and other factors. So if I can't understand, if I can't even measure, it becomes difficult on how many are going to be addressed. That's the first problem. Second, who am I addressing? Leave alone, I can't really know who's actually reading my newspaper. Who among you, among the 50 odd participants actually saw my ad? It becomes complex. And when I can't tie this information, how I can become customer centric? It becomes a challenge. So how do we actually solve this problem? Let me give you an example. This is a financial service example. It's a real example that could actually resonate with you also. You might also have some share of example like this. This is a bank in Singapore, and the left-hand side, if you see that this is an exclusive offer made to me, and this is the offer that I received, and it was blank dated, meaning it was till December last year or before. So when you look at my profile, I'm an Indian by origin, vegetarian, and I'm a teetotaler. So none of these actually matter to me, and I'm not going to sell my card. So it's irrelevant, long-term, non-contextual. The ideal way that this should have been is, I should have got a vegetarian restaurant offer. I should have been, he should have known that being 12 years in a bank's customer, I would celebrate Diwali, and I need something more recent that I can do. I would forget if there is something there till December. I would even forget that there is an offer in December. So this is the only way that I can improve my revenues and increase the penetration of my card. So this is how the overall challenge of not being customer centric gets reflected in the outcome, in turn has a direct impact on the top line and the bottom line. So now coming to the solution perspective. So now that we have defined the problem well, so there is a trend, macro trend, there is a micro trend that is affecting, that's inhibiting you from becoming customer centric. So how is that you are going to solve this problem? There are many solutions to it, but we are looking at some perspective where we think we would put some larger parts of the jigsaw puzzle as a solution that can fulfill. There are a few more factors that are needed to really make it happen, but we will focus on the tech and broadly the model that would help you achieve this. We feel that there are few important things. One is we need customer at the center. All channels should be a form factor. So it doesn't matter whether I have a bank branch, whether I have a retail store, whether I have a physical location, or it's a mobile phone or a website, or even a call or a video call, doesn't matter. For me, everything is a form factor. The customer is coming for some purpose. I need to serve this purpose. Data is the key. I think you would have listened in many ways. We will tell you why this is key by giving real life examples. Engagement should be pervasive. Wherever you come, multi-channel, it has to be engaging. Action to be seamless. This is where we talk about a lot of automation, so that you focus more on decisions that are coming out of this data, and you focus on fine-tuning the form factors so that your business model becomes strong, so that you focus completely on data, channels, etc., and you keep taking decisions on product pricing, etc., to improve your top line. So now the question is, okay, these are the factors that we need to do. How are we going to operationalize it? Like I said, a customer can touch any of these touch points. So you have a communication in the one-way communication channel like TV, radio, etc. It becomes one way. In the social media, some of the social media is two ways, where you can actually listen to customers. But across all these channels, what do you do? The first step you do is first track the journey across this channel. That's the first challenge. Hey, where is he coming? Where is he consuming my marketing effort? Where is he consuming my message? Where is he consuming my information? I need to track. That's the first step for achieving this. The second step is when I'm consuming in different channels, I need to get the data about his consumption. What is the data? How many people watched my ad in the television? How many people really listened to my ad in the radio? How many actually watched my newspaper? How many actually saw my ad in the digital version of Times of India? And how many actually saw my in the Candy Crush app of my ad, which is a different video ad that I had initiated. So you basically gather data from each of these channels and you integrate this by first measuring it, then enhancing this data, and then you start engaging the customer. So the solution is very simple. It's a 3-step process. You first measure by tracking in, then you gather the data to enhance the data, because I don't know the person now. So the same person who came to your bank branch would have called you. The same person who called you could have seen your ad in Times of India digital edition. And the same person could have also posted a Facebook or reacted to something on your Facebook post. So I don't actually know the correlation now. But when I know this information, it becomes extremely rich. I don't keep myself repeating. I feel that I can engage. I understand that he has a problem and I'm already searching for the solution, right? So you prepare that in terms of this. Now the question is, how do you do this? Let's walk through an example. I think this example will make you clear how this technology works and how this technology works to solve the problem in the way that I said. Assume Tom is going through a automobile purchase intent. Okay, he has some cash or bonus, whatever, he got it, and he want to buy a car. He probably wants an SUV car or some segment like that. So what he does is, first he solicits opinion on Facebook. Okay, guys, tell me. Then he goes to car.com or Car.Deco, compare cars, gets a view. Third, he goes to financial service systems. It could be specific bank websites or Apna loan website and try to browse. This is his online behavior. The next is he visits the showroom. On the way, he sees the billboard. While having dinner, he actually sees an ad of the same car that he was kind of looking at. Then the next day, he could probably call. He sees an ad. He probably could call, or he could send a messenger in their website, or communicate in whichever way that he wanted to kind of inquire about the car. What I explained to you is a sample customer journey of Tom. So in real life situation, it's very, very difficult to correlate all these, that this is what Tom has done collectively. You could possibly track the first one I said, somebody who's coming to your website, somebody is posting on the Facebook, maybe, yes, some technologies help, you can get that. But that is only probable. So many people can see that. It's only probable that Tom can buy. But if I know that Tom has come to the showroom, he has also seen my ad here, and he also saw my ad in the newspaper, and he's the one who called me, my probability becomes much more deterministic. And then I become very, very conscious that this guy is much more hot for me and I need to pursue this. So this is how he interacts. This is how he comes back, like phone, walk-in or website. This is how he can react. And you still don't have a single customer view. So how do you have the customer view? As I said, the digital platform is able to capture the digital footprint, and the physical locations like banners or the billboards, OOH, and the showroom, there are technologies called FootSpark. We call our technology as FootSpark. Basically, it's a beacon-based technology where we can actually track the people who are coming into the showroom or passing by the car against a billboard, either opposite of traffic or in favor of the traffic. Then we have something called second screen engagement. So while you're watching TV, I can engage you on your mobile. And when you're reading the newspaper, you saw the ad. If I do a QR scan, I'm able to understand that you have scanned. So QR as a technology is not new, but what is done differently is trying to correlate this QR, which is an offline in a paper or a print in the form of a display or any of the print form, it can correlate with the digital platform that Tom is trying to get at. And last, not the least, there is cloud telephony, where this is kind of a decentralized call center. We exactly know that you've been calling, and even if you do a missed call, I know your social media presence, I can immediately retag it. This is how the technology is able to first gather the footprints that this is the person who has come in all these channels, and I'm able to make a correlation in real time saying that this guy is more probabilistic. Then what happens? I'm able to understand his needs. I know that Tom is not just having an intention to purchase a car. I'm able to get much deeper saying that he's interested in fitness and sports and he's in the travel. So if I were on the supply side of things, I could really sell him a car finance, a health plan, an auto insurance, and a travel card. How this is coming? This is coming by understanding the touch point of Tom across offline and online channels, and upon trying to understand this is the behavior of Tom of offline and online, I'm able to analyze and categorize him into a very micro segment that I feel I can use to target very focusedly. And that the missing piece of Tom is trying to get rationalized. So this is how I saw Tom, and this is how I'm seeing his digital behavior. So every time I see his digital behavior, I learn something new about him. A customer could belong to a lot of categories and things like that. For example, you may be a bank here. You know that he's a customer holding savings account, but beyond that, you don't know anything. You don't know that Tom is a traveler. You don't know that Tom is actually looking for a vehicle loan or a personal loan, or he's getting married that he needs some kind of financing for his wedding in terms of a personal loan. That is exactly what the system does. This is a way where by correlating all the touch points, we're able to map the individual customer to a persona, and that becomes more centric. That is how you achieve the customer centric. So earlier you were doing the same campaign, one campaign to 100 million people. Now you could have 100 million personalized campaign. Imagine, visualize from your assets the to be scenario, and this is possible. And technology gives you that possibility today by integrating this one. So what are the things actually needed to do this? Typically, people see the front end. People see a lot, get excited by few likes in the Facebook, few cosmetic thing in the Google ads coming up, and they also like to see that a good website can yield. It's actually not. You need to go a little deeper. You need to have a connected marketing. If it's not connected, you will not be. You have to connect offline to online. If your business is not a pure online business, you have to connect. Even if it's an online business like Amazon, the connectivity between their warehouses, the connectivity between their back office is so strong that that yields connected marketing. For example, if there is no quantity of a particular merchandise in their warehouse, and if you start marketing on the product, you will not be able to serve the customer. So connected is very important, and that is what you track, reach, and connect for creating the demand. Okay, then collaborative. So you no longer would say that customer will call, or he'll come to your website, or he will interact through an app, or an intelligent assistant, automated assistant, chatbot we call it, is going to answer, or he's going to come to the store and experience. You cannot say that. You need to offer him a seamless aisle as a solution, and that is how you will be able to kind of address this. So you need a collaborative engagement, and most important, all these touch points or engagement yields data. I need to be able to make meaning out of it. What do I mean by that? I knew that you were watching TV. I knew that 100 people were watching the TV. I knew that 100 people scanned my newspaper ad. The next question is, who are these? This is the hardest problem to solve. So one of the first problem to solve was the measurement. I actually solved that problem for you. Much more data driven, much more scientific. But next problem, you should not stop with that. You have to find who this is. This identity is very important to kind of get to the personalization. And that's where data is going to come. and that's where you will be able to understand why this is so important. So these three are very important for an ideal digital solution. And when I say that, when you say digital, it shouldn't appear that it's a digital only business. When I say digital, the importance of data and collaboration, why it's put here is because it's inherently an offline to online businesses. Most businesses in the world are like that. Very few business will purely get digital, especially services business on financial service could get much more digital compared to other forms of retail, etc. In spite of the penetration and all the statistics, offline will survive, and it's just that the model is going to completely change. And what should a platform include? So now I said what are the ingredients, and let's try to break it into how, in the marketing parlance, what are some of the important things that one needs to have. It's a good platform should have all-in-one digital. What do I mean by that? I don't know how familiar you are with the digital marketing ecosystem. The moment somebody says digital marketing, the instant reaction would be Facebook, Google. So that's right, and it's not wrong, and they are a good marketing platforms to reach customers. No denial on that. But the ecosystem is much more complex, and there is something called an RTB, SSP, DSP. Why I'm getting into a little bit technical is you need to understand this concept. So what is a DSP is nothing but a demand side platform where I'm able to place an ad. The same way you place an ad in Facebook. Facebook is a demand side platform, very simple. Supply side platform is nothing but where you're seeing the ads, for example, Times of India or this. So that is the terminology part, very simple. You place an ad and think. So like you buy stock exchange, I'm the buyer. I have my window, demand side. I have the supplier, Tata Stocks or Reliance Stocks. That is the SSP side. This is where your Times of India or whatever. Like you have a stock exchange, Bombay Stock Exchange and New York Stock Exchange or NSE or NSE. You have something called ad exchange. Why this is important is it's the through this ad exchange that all these ads are getting placed through various publishers. And why it is complex? Because in internet, every website, blog is a publisher. For example, tomorrow Rotary Club, this particular forum, if they start writing a blog and it gets traction, you become a publisher. Actually, you can actually monetize if you like. And if assume that you have fair amount of traction, people will start monetizing, come after you, and ad exchange has to start locating you, because I as a brand MTR, I want to place whenever there is a Rotary meeting happen, I want to place in Rotary's blog or website, because that is where this event is happening, so that I can create demand or brand. So what Google and Facebook are doing is they are nothing but an ad exchange themselves. For example, Google has its own ad exchange. It did not have before. It went and acquired a company and made it as a Google ad exchange. Facebook, they won't call it ad exchange. They call it ad manager or something like that. And that is nothing but an ad exchange. So these are walled gardens. But outside these walled gardens, there are several exchanges. There are 50 such exchanges, the ad exchanges, through which we can place. So a platform, when I say all-in-one digital, is kind of means you need to be able to do real-time bidding. You need to be able to do Facebook ads. You need to be able to integrate the Google ads that you are doing, etc. And if possible, other very negligible because they are not a big reach platform. But yeah, to a greater extent, it should address all the digital platform. This has to be the most solid foundation. The second important feature we feel it's important in a marketing is the offline has to be integrated with online. Otherwise, you will not be able to achieve seamless side. You can achieve greater performance on the digital, but it's very difficult to achieve good performance overall. When I say seamless side, it means whichever channel customer comes, he feels he's interacting with a brand, a store, in the same way. If he comes to a showroom, if he comes to a website, do I have the same experience? Yes, great. then it's a seamless style. Do I have the different experience? Then it's not a seamless style. So, but if you have to achieve that, that is important now. You need a tighter, good integration of offline to online. And when I say integration, it essentially boils down to the data, right? Then you have some fundamental things like SEO, which is search engine optimization. It's nothing but how well I rank. For example, if I look at if I say best college, best engineering college, you want your college as to come in Bangalore. Best dental clinic, you want your clinic to come in the front. Right? So in simple terms, SEO is trying to optimize so that you are favored by whichever way I want to search. You should be in a form too. It's a very organic process. A lot of company will actually come and tell you, I will do this kind of a ranking and I'll boost you, etc. It can, yes, even in 15 days, you will see a good uplift, but it will not be sustainable. So it has to be an organic process. It takes at least 6 to 8 months and thing. And engagement tools, this I personally rate very important, because if your phone, video and chatbot in today, if these three collaborative tools are missing, you really cannot create a good experience. This has to be very seamless. It's almost a must have in today's world. And that way this becomes much more a de facto layer that has to be there. Action data analytics, I think this is where the transaction action has to happen. You need to automate and you need to analyze data to understand decision making. This is where your decision around pricing, how to engage, which lead do I leave, which one should I focus, which segment is attractive, which customer I should not lose. All this comes from this kind of a layer. Content plays an important critical role, more from the demand creation part of the cycle. And it has two parts. One is the doing of the content itself, which is the tech part of doing the content, storing it in a meaningful way, creating it in a different size, etc., and then using it. Second part is the creative side, which has been the forte of ad agencies in actually doing nice creative, either it could be a concept of a video or a banner. But increasingly in digital, it's always a short medium, so it's all the more creative and fast. So this also is an important layer. So given the focus of this, which is connected marketing, collaborative data, and these factors falling out from them, makes it a very solid, robust platform when you have these characteristics in your digital marketing suite. And how does this work? Very simple. You target from these very platform. Customer can respond from any of these channels, and this will be the type of response. So web app, he'll respond. He comes to the website. If it's a call, he's a call or a missed call or a video call. If it's a scan, it goes to the web. If it's an SMS, he reads or acts on something. He again can come to a website, etc. This keep happening. This is the response. This is the queue. And if he gets converted as the lead, it's well and good. If it's not, what we are trying to do is we already have the data of where we targeted them, how we targeted them, what is the kind of response that they are given. You will further refine it in real time and keep retargeting and doing small micro conversion till you really convert the customer. This is how in a nutshell the whole thing works. And typically we have seen from our own clients, this is the tangible kind of performance metric. Ultimately, all these concepts has to boil down to certain business value. And these levers, if you look at, are very revenue focused. And when you look at customer growth, operating margins, cross sales, and decrease in marketing cost are really revenue focused metrics. And that's what is exciting to be in this space, because most of the business people who are running the business are very attentive to these metrics compared to the operational side of things, who are mostly on the efficiency side. This is more on the revenue side. So it's highly critical that you get this right. So given this concept, how does it practically work, or how is that worked in some of the clients? So let me give you a case of a retail chain. This sells white goods. It's based in Tamil Nadu. So it sells white goods, like from washing machine, television to almost all electrical and electronic appliances. So what was the challenge? What was the solution? What was the outcome? How it was done? How the transformation there happened? They were pretty much a traditional marketing, nothing more than print and I would say TV, and there's enormous amount of spend. They didn't have much e-commerce presence at all, apart from big site that they had, and of course, seamless customer engagement was not there across channels. They do have a call in the store that was not quite integrated, etc. So what they did was a serious digital transformation. This led from the top, led from the owner himself, and what they aim to achieve is a seamless aisle. I'm going to expand my branches. I'm going to expand 150 showrooms around across Tamil Nadu, some parts of Karnataka, etc. How do I integrate, truly have an omni channel, and how do I get at a personalized level? So these were all the challenges. And if you look at the outcome, quite a phenomenal outcome. I'll come to the outcome later, because this is something that is enviable achievement in a span of 2 years. What they did, first they targeted new customer from digital. So first what they did was shift a spend from traditional medium, some part of their spend, to the digital spend. Second, they tried to kind of expand and start measuring other channels. Why? Because I'm running a digital campaign. What will happen when I run a digital campaign for a washing machine, say Samsung washing machine? Either I can come to your website, have an inquiry, or I can call you, or I can come to your stores. So their call was not integrated, store was not integrated with the online. I can't even show the attribution. So we brought in these kind of technology to actually track the traffic in the showroom, count, and also understand who's coming. So we will able to correlate that this is the person who saw the ad and he's the one who's coming into the showroom, the same person who actually called into the telephony, and it's distributed into the particular localized showroom. So this is a very useful thing. If I call from West Mambalam showroom or a T Nagar showroom, and the customer wants to reach the showroom, initially it used to go to a centralized call center. Then the call center will go into the system. It will see the stocks, whether there is there in the stock. Then he'll get onto another phone and talk to the supervisor. Can you deliver, etc. Now all these are seamless now. What will now happen is, if a person calls from T Nagar, it directly goes to the supervisor. This is connected through a cloud telephony, and the supervisor directly has an app. He knows the stock situation live, and he'll be able to address it. And the same way, the telephony has now replaced the video off late because of COVID. Thanks to COVID, it has speed up. But video is offering another level of personalization, where you can also display the goods in the showroom. So that's the part of trying to integrate how offline. So if a person sees the ad online, if he comes on call, we are able to correlate. If he comes to the showroom, able to correlate. If he comes to the website, of course, we catch him with our cookies, and we know that he's the one who has come, and we try to convert him online through a lot of nudges. Then all these in a period of a year accumulated a lot of data. So then the owner asked, hey, look, this is enormous data I have, and this data is so useful. I'll tell you one useful data point that this whole digital had led to. People who are very familiar with Tamil Nadu media, you will understand that the density of Tamil media is quite high. The number of newspapers, both English as well as vernacular language, is very high compared to any states. The number of publications, even the Hindu itself has like some 15, 16 publications, Vigadan will have. So the density is very high. So traditionally, when you think of ad, you only think of doing that. And second, when you move to digital, you will say, instead of Anand Vigadan, I'll put it in Anand Vigadan online. Instead of Hindu, I'll put it in Hindu online, etc. That was the blind assumption. That is where the ad spend was going on. But after 7 months of campaign, we made them understand that 53% of their traffic was coming from a movie website, a movie gossip website. It talks about which hero eloped with which heroine had a wardrobe failure. This kind of very gossip friendly website is the one which gave them 53% of traffic. It doesn't matter. What matters is that information that this is the particular medium where he can get maximum number of target audience has changed his strategy, has minimized the cost of retargeting by almost 30%. And that is an important information which brings a bottom line improvement. And when this collaborative and things happened, the COVID actually speed up the e-commerce adoption. Now they are able to sell completely in e-commerce. So if you now look at the store is completely integrated seamless site. How? You go online, so you see my ad anywhere, whether it's in the print or the billboard or this thing. What you do is you go on the website, you're able to connect to the store directly. You can either call, you can do a vid call, you're able to see the stocks live. The Tinagar showroom, you don't have a stock, then you immediately call a center. That guy will tell you actually where it is and he will offer to drop and deliver it then and there. The deal is closed. If you don't have an option, you have an automated assistant. That automated assistant will 80% of the queries, it will answer it in the first 2 queries itself. Quite efficient. Then if you still not comfortable, you want to see, you do a video call. That is also now there. So he'll be able to show showroom. Tomorrow when the showroom opens, COVID it's not there. Tomorrow when the showroom opens, if you walk in, I'll be able to kind of track you there. So while creating demand was always there, they were not able to track who were the one who are actually filling. How can I fulfill? And this is through this collaborative tools that we're able to kind of address that. And 1,000 people, we created demand. 100 people ended up buying. What happened to the remaining 900 people? You keep remarketing because you have all the data of people who came to your website, all the data of people who consumed your blog, all the data of people who called, all the data of people who did few things. For example, you would have added this TV on your cart, but you would have abandoned your cart. The technology will be able to track that you dropped that thing. Immediately you'll get an SMS, can we help you? Then you'll get a nudge from an email with a new offer if you're still not coming back to the cart. Third is a supervisor would actually, a sales guy would actually call you and ask, sir, is there any problem with your purchase? We'll be more than happy to solve your problem. So this is how they are trying to bring a very traditional, not really what do I say, a sophisticated retailer who has grown purely by instinct. And most of our retailers are like that, pretty much 3rd pass to 8th standard, pass to 12th, and that kind of an entrepreneurship is very famous in most of our Indian states. And when these people built a kingdom, they built a kingdom in the old economy way of life. They know their business very well. But when this transition happened, they needed all these adoption to make this. They understand this language of revenue. They understand that this improvement leads to this kind of a cross sales. They knew that they never knew before that a person who bought washing machine, he could buy another 4 products. They knew that reality, but they were not able to follow through. Today they are able to follow through. And that's how you can make a difference in terms of this retailer. The next retailer example is even more fascinating. This is like online. This is a favorite brand. You would easily guess it has everything. It's a multi-speciality. It's a much more sophisticated retail, urban cities. And their problem was traditional marketing was quite not giving them good enough footfalls. They were completely focused offline when we did this. And they wanted much more tracking because their store format is so huge. They wanted to know that movement within the store. So their physical tracking was very important for them. And they needed to understand how can I do a personalized targeting. So what we did was, first, they were doing marketing. If you look at the first left-hand side of things, this was what they were doing traditionally with their resource or whatever. And I had to go and show them that this same digital marketing done differently could actually yield much better results in terms of reach increase by 2 times and in terms of response increase by 2.5 times and the cost drastically reduced by 40. More importantly, they were able to measure the demographic through advanced physical devices that I mentioned, both camera and tracking device, in understanding what is the age, mood, and gender of the audience, and also in terms of movement. Look at this example. For example, 100K visitors came to the show. 61K bought something from them. So it gave an opportunity now, because we are able to track them, that who came, they are able to now retarget those 39K who did not buy. Okay. Second part of it is they realize that 65% are family visitors, basically kids and women. But if you look at their merchandise section, men's section was bigger, women was, and kids were small. What does the data tell you? When they started the showroom, probably that 5 kilometer vicinity area, the demographic would have been different. Now the demographic could have changed due to IT and other things, and more family audience are there. This data gives them insight into what kind of merchandise is going to work for them, and what kind of engagement should I do when kids, and 18% of kids are coming into my showroom. Similarly, for example, a lot of people, 82% of traffic spent 20 minutes on perfume section, but that SKU did not move. So is it possibly because smaller size of perfume should be kept there? Or should a staff really guide and increase the uptake? It prompts those questions. And again, they looked at, they were doing a lot of print ads, but they didn't know who responded. But we just put a small QR, and they got 1,200 QR scans, and of which 800 people actually purchased on an average of 375 rupees. So this is how you harvest data to get them to convert. And this is the some of the examples of how you kind of understand the customer through the touch points, use that data to get to a personalized targeting, keep refining, and learn more about the customer, and create additional engagement points and make them really loyal. This transformation is quite painful. When you look at it, it's not something that you can achieve in 1 month, 2 months. It takes over a period of a year to a year and a half, but it's definitely feasible. And last case, possibly, I don't know, I'll quickly go through. This is about the bank. We were trying to increase the mobile usage of the top up, and the performance was quite drastic in terms of what they were doing, and how by re-engineering some of these aspects, we could actually help the bank to increase the reach, response, and in turn increase the download performance of the mobile banking app. I'll probably pause, take few questions till up to time that you have, and I'm more than happy to address any queries.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bosky. I mean, it's really engaging what you've been showcasing for the last 45 to 50 minutes. Quite a few questions have come up. Just
Sure.
Before I move the questions, I would just like to thank the lead club president, Manoj Kabre of Whitefield Central, of course, our district director, Dr. PMR, always innovative, district secretary Ramdas, and all the other guest clubs for this, Gnana Vaividya series. This is the top 3. You have truly engaged your customers today who are Rotarians. And the return on investment for us is the time that we have invested here. We have learned on new, emerging businesses and emerging technologies, which will be a real take back from us. But on the lighter side, a lot of technical questions have come in because it was a pretty technical presentation. So the techies have found a lot of technical knowledge here. The non-techies like me, who have a little bit of superficial knowledge of technology, have realized that it's very difficult now to cover up their footprints. So guys, be careful. Earlier it was footprints in the sand, footprints in the snow, a wave of the ocean or the ice melting, your footprint should go. But here, the digital footprint is very difficult to erase. You never know who's watching, what you're doing, or what you're tracking. So be very careful what you actually do on the net. Otherwise, you have EYWA media waiting to capture you and send them to the right client, send you to the right client. But jokes apart, compliments to the guest club presidents, Paresh, Ranjini, Raghavendra, Jagdish, Bridge, Dr. Yogi, and of course from Madras, we have Parmeshwar Babu and Rotract Sheshadri Puram also online, and many district officers and Skyrocker presidents who I can see online. So wonderful to see you taking part in this Vaividya series. So I will just ask you a few questions which people have, brought up, and maybe you can address it. I've been given 10 minutes by President Manoj to cover. So we have already some 6 questions in front of me over here in the chat box, and I've just made note. But I would request our guest speaker, Mr. Bosky, to address them. And we will cover as many as we can in 10 minutes. Otherwise, you can always reach out to Manoj, or you can take the ID of Mr. Bosky and write a mail to him, and I'm sure he'll respond in due time. And Mr. Bosky, just wanted to say, you've done us a reverse digital presentation here today. Normally, we see a nice snap of a person in the, in the poster or the flyer. And then when we come online, we see the COVID face with the COVID beard and this and that. Yours is reverse. In the poster, I saw a bearded man with the COVID beard, and here a nice clean shaven, shining Bosky in front of us. So lovely, you're smart in both ways. So I will go to the first question that was posted by Mr. Sridhar. And he wants to ask you, how does this compare with Adobe's customer experience platform, which is a fully integrated solution from customer journey analytics to the actual campaign? So how do you compare this? Is Sridhar's question to you, Mr. Bosky.
Okay, we could go on that in very detail. In short, the demand side platform of it, that is the ad placement platform and the content are quite similar. Certain features would definitely differ in the way approach. Our view is Adobe does not have the offline to online integration, so they will not be able to track the offline part of it. They have advantage of having the creative side, so which we don't play. So they can make content with Adobe creatives and things. So that we don't have the content management side of it. But other than that, I think the offline to online is a key differentiator, and we would go head on. So one of the awards that I mentioned, we actually got it from Bangkok Bank in Thailand. We actually pitted against Adobe and won that.
Fantastic. Thank you. Congratulations on the award. And Sridhar, I'm sure, like he said, it's a very vast answer, and there's a lot of, a response to that. So maybe you can reach out on a one-on-one level. And
yeah, definitely. I'll be very keen to connect with Bosky. Bosky, I will take your email ID from Manoj, because
yes, please.
I've dabbled on it for some time. Yeah, definitely.
I try to be succinct here, but
understood.
I'm sure there is more to it that I can cover later.
And
because I have some more deeper insight into Adobe platform, so I will share it offline with you. Okay, thank you.
Sure. Perfect. Thanks, Sridhar. And I think Bosky, as Radha said, a lot of blogs will help. So maybe today's questions can be topics for your next blogs or your next articles that you write. Well, our district secretary, Ram Ramdas, has a couple of questions. The first one was, your talk was focused largely on customer experience during the acquisition process. Now, are there different drivers for customer retention and cross-sell?
Yeah.
That's what he wants to know. That's the first question that he has. The second one would be that in the customer-centric journey, customer value is as important as customer experience. So we want all these things to all the people, don't we?
It's very critical. So there are few things. So let's break it down, right? So once we understand our target segment better, so there are two aspects to it, right? The challenge, the easier part is the known data. So I know that it's Mr. Ram Ramdas, then it becomes easy for me to mine more data about him. But I don't know this 100 people that are there in this Rotary, but I know that these 100 people are interested in buying cars. That's the unknown data. So we try to solve that problem first. And once this unknown data becomes known, once I know that within that 100 people, Mr. Ram Das is interested in a vehicle loan or a vehicle, then I start engaging him by trying to understand. And that's where the cross-sell part takes place. That happens in multiple ways. That happens in first trying to understand his transactional data. So if you look at one of the slides, I would have mentioned the question mark, how do you prefer Tom's profile? And when I removed that question mark, there was something called CDP, Customer Data Platform, where we integrate this known data, which I know that is Ram Nanda and is known, and the unknown data that Ram has a savings bank, I know account, but is he a traveler? Is he interested in personal loan? All these information, unknown data becomes known here. When I combine this, I'm able to continuously see what is he up to, even including the movement within the website. is an indication of interest. For example, if you're reading the blog and I spend 20 minutes on the credit card section, I'm much more amenable to consume that credit card from a 20-minute compared to just 30-second skip of that. All these are ultimately data, and there is a rule behind this data. How are we going to use this unknown data, unknown data, and map this for these different values? So if it's cross sales, I want these parameters to be fulfilled. If it's a new sale, I want this acquisition on a big funnel and marketing difference. And coming back to the value part, the value comes when you get to a level of customer profitability, right? So the same example I gave is what we did in Bangkok Bank. We understood that a person, Kuntom, was a savings bank account, but they didn't understand beyond that. So when they got the understanding of Kuntom beyond the savings bank account, they were able to personalize an offer. They were able to personalize the pricing. But all this happens only when you have the depth of data. And that becomes valuable for the customer because he's been needing that and he's not getting it, but the bank understood, so he's getting it. So there's an immediate value. And once he gets that value, how are you going to step on Nourish him is the collaborative tool. So it doesn't stop you from keep bombarding only on the marketing. It can also be an engagement beyond marketing.
Thanks, Mr. Baski. Well, I have 7 more questions, so I'll request the participants not to post any more questions because I don't think we'll have time for more than these 7 which are already posted. Rajaram has already shared the email ID of Mr. Baski, so you can write to him personally, and the recording will also be available for those of you who missed. So I hope that answers those questions. We have a question from Nitesh, and Mr. Baski, he asks, can you please recommend some social media engagement tools? Like you said, you know, each one of us actually is a digital marketer. Everyone who's active on social media can actually monetize their marketing rather than just get happy with the thumbs ups and the laughs and the hugs and the loves and whatever you get. You can actually monetize everything that you do on the digital platform. So can you recommend some social media engagement tools? What would you recommend? So I know you spoke of Facebook. I know you spoke of Twitter. What about Insta? That's my personal. Insta seems to be the next.
Instagram is extremely popular. So that is, so when I meant Facebook, Facebook's whole infrastructure, Facebook, Instagram would come.
WhatsApp.
But in terms of, WhatsApp is not for business. It's more
there's a WhatsApp business also started.
That's a WhatsApp business, but it will not, it is not permitting to marketing. It's, trying to officially have partners who can deliver content. So for example, you can order tickets in Make My Trip.
Correct.
Make My Trip can send you tickets on WhatsApp, but Make My Trip cannot market for its promotions on WhatsApp.
Correct.
So
currently
it's not
your
permitted.
recommended social media tool?
So I would say it depends on the objective. So if you're looking at reach and building brand, any video platforms, TikTok, it's not there, but TikTok, YouTube are quite effective channels. If you want to have a bigger reach and thing, Instagram, if it's more brand building reach. If it's lead, I think we'll stick to Google Ads and Facebook.
Perfect. Thanks. That's very, very crisp and to the point. Thanks. Kishore Madula wants to know which part is considered most important: the ad location, the search engine optimization, or the content for a successful digital marketing campaign?
So I think this question, it's all three. You can't separate. Depending again, it'll translate to a good established brand will not try to promote much of the brand. So they will reduce on the content in creating the brand, but they will focus on lead. They will try to optimize on getting a bigger funnel so that I have a higher reach and I play around with my pricing because volume gives me margins. So it's subjective, but all three are important. One question was very, very interesting that I saw. Maybe that's
which one is
not
this?
Intrusive or irritate a potential customer. It comes all the time.
Okay, that's the next question. Before that, okay. I have one from Maheshwari YK, and he wants to know, how do you integrate these product comparative sites into this game? Because you get car insurance buyers who send you to Policy Bazaar to compare. and then mutual fund recommendations come from Scriptbar, Box.
Yeah.
There's so many comparative offers. So how do
Yes.
you integrate that into this game?
Okay, so there are a few ways. One is you can do an SSP kind of integration where all these publishers you can have directly. For example, all these OTT platforms have direct. So Indian Express will have, you can directly do something on the SSP side, supply side platform, what we call it as. That is the best strategy. So you can directly bid and I can take inventory from on that particular website and take it. If it's not monetized, you can't do anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks.
But most of these guys want monetizing. They do sell. Everybody sells data. So
exactly. So now coming to the question which is on most people's minds, including those who are in digital marketing, also sometimes find this, a problem, because one side you're the one who's reaching out to them, the other side you're the recipient of what comes to you.
correct.
So how do we ensure that digital marketing strategy is not intrusive and does not irritate a potential customer?
See, the entire idea of bringing the customer centricity aspect instead of calling it as digital marketing is to be able to do that. When I gave you the example of the credit card example as well as the car example, what we did do in the credit card example, I said, is it relevant? Is it contextual? Why did I get that ad? So if it was relevant, if it was not a vegetarian restaurant, it shouldn't come to me. Similarly, I understood that you have purchased the car. You will not need a car for the next 5 years. It should go out of my CRM. So we play on recency and relevance and context. These three are very important, and these three had to be tagged in the CDP. Meaning, if I targeted someone and he responded no, and he probably just purchased the washing machine, remove him for the next 6 months. Don't target him for washing machine at all. We will have to put that tag and take him out of it. That is how you make it personalized. So you need next is TV. I'm not going to market you again washing machine. That is how you solve this problem. But organizations are far from this. That's the reality. So people just want to run campaign. So this problem you will face until organization becomes much more measured in handling. One example I give you, very practical example. This is also an insight into the previous question of what is best. There is no one best medium at all point in time for the same use case. Why I say this? Last time we ran a campaign for a lot of people during Diwali. And when customers give you, they will tell you that, hey, do Facebook campaign. They will not even give us the liberty to choose which medium is best. You run a Facebook campaign, I'm giving you 10 lakhs. What happens is, we observed in the past 4 years, 2 days before Diwali, on the day of Diwali, 1 day after Diwali, Facebook pretty much gets clogged. There is literally no response. So if you're trying to market, we would openly say don't do Facebook before and immediately after Diwali. It spikes up after 1 week because people are so busy with other messages, celebration and thing. This trend is increasing. So while you're spending, you're again bombarding them, carpet bombing, and you're not getting that personalized engagement. So even pruning this media is important. So that is again one of the differentiation between Adobe and thing. Now I remember is Facebook and Google are walled gardens. They will never give you the data back. Like I said, for this client, we understood 53% of the traffic came from the movie gossip website is because our platform is able to translate the data, give it back to the customer. Whereas Facebook and Google will walled garden. They will not give the publisher data back to the customer. It's a very important differentiation.
Fine, thanks. And again, from a customer perspective, I mean, like how we have DND for calls, here in each platform, you have a separate kind of security setting where you can't get disturbed, untracking, unrolling. But is there one common app or one common software where somebody does not want to be disturbed on any platform that they can switch off? Is that available?
Not possible because of the very nature of the design of the internet.
Are different in each
No, because everyone wants free, right? If I charge Facebook and Gmail, are you ready? That's the next question that will come.
Okay.
If you're ready to live in a paid economic system, then this problem is automatically going to get solved.
Okay. Next, the last 3 questions from Sumo Kere. Since this sort of digital tracking seems to be very high level, what would you suggest for a company starting out?
what kind of track? I'm not very clear on the question, but this seems to be
Maybe
very
I think Sumukh, what EYWA Media does, he just showcased how they track. So I think if you give them the contract, they will do everything for you. You don't need to worry about
no, where you start is
setting it.
typically the transformation process. I think you start with digital.
Digital.
And if you have an offline business, then you start tracking, counting offline. I think video and call is a
Call.
must. So with this itself, you would have captured 60-70% of your omni-channel needs. And then it's a question of how these are reflecting. For example, when I run a campaign, are you seeing the peak in the calls? Are you seeing increase in footfalls in your showroom? Are you seeing an increased traffic in your website? These are proxies, and you can attribute that now. Then go to the next stage of, okay, now that I have this data, what do I do with the guys who visited but not purchased? That's the next question you'll start to solve. So I think the starting point is very simple, digital, and nature of the business will determine the next steps in terms of where, how they need to track.
Great. So we have a question all the way from Indonesia, and this is Andy Nurbao Masip from Indonesia. And he wants to know, how about your opinion that we use strategy digital marketing with Facebook advertisement or Google platform? Its usefulness for developing strategies. I think you may have covered it, but still you can now.
Yeah, Salamat Pagi Pak Andy. This is, we would say we need to do RTB, Facebook and Google together in a media mix, and sometimes even direct placement. So we've just started Indonesia few months back, and we've got some very big retailers that we are working out with. So it is not limited. It should not limit yourself to Google and Facebook. It should be there. It should be one of your media mix in the overall media plan, but you should do more of RTB and direct placements. When I mean an RTB is, you should be able to place across millions of apps and websites that are more popular in Indonesia, like Zuara.com or Compress.com. These are high traffic sites in Indonesia, depending on the segment. And you need to be able to use all these media mix to target where the customers come. And then use the platform to decide where actually they come from. So it's a big question, chicken or egg. People think that Facebook and Google will tell you that this is where they come from. They actually don't come from them because they don't give the data, right? So you have to find the data to be able to even discuss about the question of optimization. That's the reality of digital. We are 10 years into this or 5 years into this major digital marketing, and every agency knows how to optimize Facebook, etc. But the basic problem of where is your traffic coming from is not solved because they can't share the data.
Thanks. And final question, very apt considering the audience that is here on this webinar today, and that is from an NGO or a service organization perspective, have you used digital marketing for community service fundraising? Can you give a couple of examples or strategies for fundraising for organizations like Rotary? This is from Paresh, my home club president.
Okay, we have not done for fundraising, but it isn't very different from any other brand campaign. We have done for NGOs in establishing their programs. We have marketed the programs, especially in the health sector. And during COVID, we have done few in Malaysia, where we kind of promoted testing services and etc. and some NGO services so that people are able to think, and we have created awareness. So again, the choice of media depends on the objective of the campaign. If it's a very rich campaign at a low amount, I would suggest RTB. If it's you want donation, I think Facebook is a very effective building in terms of community that it has. That's a very good area. But I think I would go through a kind of a drip micro segment, meaning I would first increase the reach and get this message out first. And then I will try to follow up in small pockets and get, because the nature of the campaign is donation. It requires more persistent than traditional marketing objectives.
I think most of these crowdfunding platforms take care of the marketing aspect also for you, right? To a great extent, they do.
Yeah, but some of the crowdfunding, I don't know what is the margins they set, but yeah, Facebook has been quite successful in
Yeah.
fundraise and
In fact, I was one of the beneficiaries a couple of days back. Anyway, so those were the questions. JP Verma, you had your hand up, but what I would request is if any question, please mail it to Mr. Bosky and I'm sure he'll respond to you. So I think thanks for those wonderful interactions and answering those questions. I know many of them were technical and they've understood. The others, well, don't worry, there's so much for us to take away from here. Back to you, President Manoj and Team Vocational Services. That's the Q&A for today.
Thank you so much, DG. Rajaram, can we? Okay, he's sharing the screen already. So Srinivas, I mean, although most of us we know IPDG, but I'll still request Srinivas, past President Srinivas, to briefly introduce, because we have a lot of guests, a lot of friends of Rotary here. So please go ahead and introduce Dr. Samir Haryani, please.
Keep it brief, Srinivas. We want the focus on Bosky, not me.
Yeah, definitely, Samir. Good evening, one and all. Thank you. First of all, thanks to Bosky for a wonderful session. I think it was really enlightening, and I think a lot of information and a lot of thoughts process created to all the attendees who have attended today. And I think it's really nice to introduce Samir. Though most of us know, the more jovial and the more people in Rotary, I think, without knowing Samir, I don't think there would have been any occasion. So a brief introduction of course, Samir, born in Mumbai and completed his education in Bangalore. He holds a bachelor's degree, then BDS and a postgraduate certificate program in endodontics. He's married to again Dr. Rupa Harian and is blessed with 2 kids. And incidentally, even Rupa is also a very active Rotarian, and she's a past president of Inner Wheel Club of Bangalore Southwest. And I think the way Samir handles, I think he's also a multi-talented and a multifaceted person. Okay, so having a lot of different professional activities. Like he's been a successful trainer, digital coach, anchor, MC sports commentator, multifaceted person. And coming to Rotary, I think he's been a very active Rotarian from Rotary Bangalore Southwest since 1998. He's a very successful Centennial president from his home club in the year 2004 and 5. He has served Rotary District in multiple leadership roles and capacities from a district joint secretaries, GSC team leaders, and so on. He has a couple of major donors, level 3 progressive and towards level 4. I think he's one of the DGs who has been elected unopposed for the year 2019-20. I think I'm summarizing it crisp and shorter so that it doesn't bore up the other members, but I've not covered the whole thing of Samir. I hope that's fair enough. Thank you, sir. And thank you, Manoj.
Thank you, Srinivas, for keeping it brief.
Thank you so much. And now can we request IPDG to confer the Vocational Service Excellence Award on today's speaker, Bosky.
Thank you, President Manoj, and all the guest presidents and the vocational service team. On behalf of Rotary International District 3190 and all its members, the 5,300 members, and of course, the vocational service team and the lead club, Rotary Bangalore, Whitefield Central, and all the guest clubs today. It's immense pleasure on behalf of Rotary to present another Vocational Excellence Award to a gentleman who's accomplished so much. And in 45 minutes, you would have got a gist of why this gentleman is so knowledgeable and so well-versed with his vocation and profession, the way he has opened our eyes to this engagement and return on investment. So Mr. Bosky Subramanian, our Chief Digital Evangelist, and from EYWA Media, it gives me immense pleasure in presenting this Vocational Excellence Award to you this evening in recognition of excellence achieved in your chosen field of vocation and contributing to the good of the society on behalf of Gnana Vaividya, our Vocational Diversity Speaker Series. And I will definitely remember this connect and this opportunity that Rotary gave me to present somebody in a wonderful and a futuristic field, this Vocational Excellence Award. So thank you very much and congratulations. We are truly privileged and honored to have you as our awardee this evening.
Thanks so much. It's my honor to receive this.
I'm sorry I can't read all the signatures there because the screen is a bit small, but I'm sure it's signed by the vocational director and the president and the couple of, the club Rajaram. I think you're the club vocational director and the others. So thank you.
Thanks a lot. I really feel honored and I'm very happy to receive this and make a presentation. More than happy to share any thoughts in future as well. And it'll be great to connect with some of you.
Certainly. Thank you so much, Samir. And we will definitely keep in touch, Bosky.
Yeah.
Over to you, Rajaram. Yeah, we have a special announcement by Rotarian Ravi, Secretary Rotary Global Yoga. That is the newly chartered club. Ravi?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for the opportunity to become the guest club for Gnana Vaidya today. We are the newly chartered club. On August 6th, we have started with 28 members. A small